Videos going?
Well, since we're already recording, let's just talk about it. So the videos are technically going to YouTube if I have a chance to put them on YouTube. But, it's kind of like I'm a little bit busy, if you will. So uploading a video on YouTube is one of the last things that I do in my week. Hence, there hasn't been too many uploads on YouTube.
I don't get how you do all of this, to be honest.
I don't either.
Maybe we can touch on that.
I don't either, but let's not, we're not here to talk about me, Mr.
Okay.
Martinez. We're here to talk about you, Mr. Funcraft. So let me just do a little introduction for people who are not on the know. Michael Martinez, CEO of Funcraft, previously started off your career at Zynga, set up Juicebox in a very, very hip location on the side street in San Francisco, in front of a barbershop, in front of a low-key coffee shop, just behind the wine bar. I was a frequent visitor of that spot.
Yep, great spot.
Yeah. Then you moved on to EA after Juicebox closed doors. You went to EA. You launched one of my favorite IPs, if not my favorite, Command and Conquer.
Wow.
And now you're back on the grind, back on in the soul grind, aka entrepreneurship. So tell me actually, let's not talk about that one. Let's go a little bit of ahead into the moment today. So I'm gonna let's talk about first about Funcraft, and then we'll talk more about your career.
How we got here.
Yeah, exactly. So we're now talking about Funcraft, and you had 4 games come in back to back to back. Like January 2020, you launched your first game. Boom. Next one, follow up the third one, and then the fourth one. And the fourth one is Pictowords. So 3 out of 4 games have been word games. One has been a merge game. The latest one, scaling up nicely. What's the story behind that one?
Well, we actually had 6 games, believe it or not. So, we've had 6 games. And so Pictowords is a turn-based crossword puzzle game. And this game is really what we've been searching for the whole time. It's like, we started out this company, we knew the types of games that we wanted to make, and we wanted to go fast. We knew we had to get a lot of games out there. And this is really what we've been looking for. Great long-term retention, great metrics. And it's just like, once you get a baby like this, you just have to nurture it, grow it, give it all the attention that it needs.
Give it all the fuel, give it all the
exactly.
fertilizer to grow. Wanted to go fast, launch a lot of games. That's probably coming in from your previous failures, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely learned a lot, both from Juicebox and Electronic Arts. I think so. Jason McGurk and I started this company together, and we've known each other for over 12 years now. Worked together for almost a decade, and we really see eye to eye in terms of how to approach making games, how we work, and really the opportunities out there. And we chose games that we could get into the market quickly, and that we think a lot of other folks would overlook. So I actually pitched this concept to Electronic Arts of, hey, this is how I think we should succeed. This is how we build free-to-play chops within the team. And it's just uninteresting to them. And I think the types of games that we're making, they're going to be interesting to these larger companies 2 years down the road. And we'll have taken over the market by then.
Okay. Well, let's start breaking these down. So you said you're going to focus on certain genres that are overlooked by the big boys. How do you find these? How do you find these pockets of blue ocean, these blue spots in the red ocean?
Yeah, it's the whole mobile game space is just all red ocean. It is so brutal. Really? We usually see each other at GDC, and I've always hated GDC because it is put in your face how many other people are working on games, and it's terrifying when you see the reality. So you have to be a little bit crazy to do what we're doing. But how we found these pockets. It's really just tons of research. So spending a lot of time on App Annie, pouring through the older and the low, some trying to find gems on the top grossing, as well as really getting into a habit of just downloading every game that I get an ad for. So that was something for a year or two, I was just downloading everything, playing everything, getting a sense of what's out there, and really looking for these pockets that we could see were types of games that looked like they could grow. They had solid metrics already, but weren't given the attention or focus or ambition that we hope to apply to them.
Yeah. I mean, you could have just said that, you read Deconstructor of Fun, look at the taxonomy, kind of understand the market as a whole, use Sensor Tower, and maybe some marketability tools like Geek Lab or 12 Trades to understand the pockets and the audiences to target. But instead, App Annie and just raw play.
Just play. Yeah, I'm sure my phone, like yours, is littered with many pages of unfound apps, unorganized.
Well, I'm now on Android, and they kind of have this thing called Game Launcher. So it's just like a one app that you tap, and it just opens up everything. And so like, hey, you playing this? You want to play that? Like, wow, Android! Shout out to you. So it's even better. I don't know if that's a Samsung specific, but it's pretty cool. Okay, but why fast? Like, how did that learning come in? So one is, I understand you're looking at the market, you're way more market driven. And I want to ask why that, and also why specifically fast? Like we all know that fail fast, learn fast, those are key things. But why in your particular situation fast?
Yeah, I mean, I have this idea that that a game's success is decided really, really early on in the conception of the game, and that concept will fail or succeed. So I think Command and Conquer Rivals, that game was a failure because of the core gameplay was too intense. The IP was a mismatch in terms of Command and Conquer players didn't want that game, and nobody else knew about Command and Conquer. So it's a new IP, so why use it? And then third, the going into Clash Royale territory is a bad place to go. So those three decisions, I think, were the fundamental flaws of that product. So all this tremendous work that we did, all the optimizations and an amazing team, and it's just like, that's really, we needed to go into the market to find that, to discover that reality, but that was the truth. So I think it's so important just to put things out there and really let the players decide. Obviously, people will say, oh, you can grind a game, you can improve it. But I think you find out about a game's core metrics and attributes so quickly. I think it's certainly less random than throwing spaghetti at the wall, because based on all of our experiences and knowledge of the market and choices, I hope that we are choosing games that have a higher likelihood to succeed. But I think the market is just so challenging. You have to put it into the market and let players decide. And also, I think really a game that didn't succeed 3 years ago, you could launch it now. It's like, maybe it would work now. Yeah. And who it's crazy. So that's the pursuit of fast, so that you can find out from real worlds, from let the market tell you, rather than ideas or pontificating. It's like, who knows? So
let me tell you this, Michael. I know. just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. It's funny that you're now this. So I don't know which podcast I'm going to release first, yours or Playrix one. So Playrix has the opposite approach, and they're they're pretty good at what they do.
They're really good.
That.
Right.
Second largest publisher on mobile. Yeah. Hashtag Tencent. That's the only one. Yep. So their approach is the opposite what you explained, and I think there's really like two spectrums. So what you said works perfectly. It's fast to the market, see what works. If the numbers are not even close to where you're at, drop it. Let's go on to the next one. Let's focus on until we throw in something that shows impressive numbers and grow from good to great. That's one. And of course, understanding the market. Shout out Taxonomies, Geek Lab. We are
a Geek Lab user, so love those guys.
Geek Lab user. I know. I know. I see the IPMs. They're high. Yep. They're nice. Anyway, so the other one is like what Playrix described is quite interesting. Is I think Scopely is kind of in that way as well. Like
Yeah.
they do a tremendous design document. Like they spend
Right.
a long time just figure out everything and just kind of like on paper, challenging thinking. You know, like what if, what then, and just answer all the questions. Once everybody is aligned and all the possible questions have been answered, go. And then they
Yeah.
invest a lot and build something. And at that point, they've already invested. They answered so many questions that it's all about execution. And
Yeah.
I like the other part is like when they go to soft launch, like they grind soft launch. Like they're
Yeah.
not like Scopely is a good example of that as well. They put in a game like that Avatar game. I don't know what's going on. Like it's a long time, but I'm sure it will come out. No, they're not killing it. Don't do that. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out great, and that's what they do with all these games. Like they
Right.
put it in, and they goddamn grind that game until it comes out because they've invested and they've kind of thought out all the elements to it. So those are two opposing, and they both work.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think they're really different for the main reason that we are a startup and they're an established company.
Yes.
So I think when you are a startup, the desperation that you need to find and have to find that revenue generator and to become self-sufficient and to have that base, that's a very different pursuit than when you are a Playrix. And really, it's what they've established as well at this point. I think you need to learn and you need to build all these functions as a company. And the best way to do that is by doing and by building that competency and bringing it into your team. So for Playrix, they've generated that, and now they're taking their playbook that they've proven out so many times, and it makes sense to make a big investment. I think for us, or for a lot of younger companies, you could build out the whole team, build out everything. And I think the challenge there is you can get into this point where you're betting your company on a single game. And I've done that before, and I'm not interested in doing it again because I think you build so much knowledge along the way. That's what has value. So you want to make sure you keep going. If we have enough time, no question we'll get there. So we just want to make sure we have that chance to get there.
Yeah, that's a really good point and a really good perspective. And you don't have to be it's not only the big companies that do this sort of a measured, very calculated take on the market and they grind through it. There are big companies that also try different things. Half a year into develop, like you got half a year to prove this works. Quickly get into the market. They're usually very genre focused. They have the tool sets, they have the assets, they can get quickly into the market, and boom, then they either prove that they're wrong or prove that they're right.
Yep.
So,
do you see many small companies doing the other where they're saying, okay, we're going to build the perfect game? I mean, I see a lot of funding announcements talking about that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to don't see too many of the successes.
It's well, I would, if the success ratio is the same for big games and small games, then of course the ones that make big games just don't have that many shots on the goal.
Right. I remember after we launched Honorbana, at Juicebox, which came out of the gates really strong and was a great success for us. I was talking with Auntie and he was like, "Oh, okay, now your next game's going to be a failure," and I was like, "What? No, it's not. We're going to be 2 for 2."
Yeah.
Auntie was right.
And the problem there was that you jumped from the successful game to launching a new game that failed, right?
Well, we launched the second game. The first game was kind of in the middle. It came out of the gates really strong, and we weren't able to transition from. This was the days when featuring mattered. From the days we couldn't transition to getting the UA engine going, and trying to grind it, couldn't quite get it there. So then we had that second game, had better metrics, but we were running on fumes at that point.
Damn. And then it was EA time.
And then that was it. And then it was EA time.
that's what happens. Big dogs.
That's what happens.
Exactly. So let's talk about Pictowars. Like how big is the team now? Like how big is the team that gets the game out? And And as you've gone through 6
Yeah.
games, you just cut the game. Like I saw Merge Towns.
Yeah, Merge Kingdoms.
Merge Kingdoms came in,
Yeah.
strong out the
Right.
gate, and you
Yes.
pulled the plug out of that. Like when I look at
Totally.
the sensor
Yeah.
tower data, it's like,
Right.
oh, somebody
See you
pulled the
later.
plug out of that one.
Right. Yes, exactly. We definitely did pull the plug. So, Pictowords, it's, like I said, it's a crossword puzzle game. So we started this game in, we decided we were going to pursue it March of last year. So March of 2020. And at first we spent the first 2 months just figuring out how we were going to get all the puzzles, because you need a lot of puzzles for this game. Players play them, they're consumed. We started development on it 2 months later in May, and then we soft launched the game in November. So that was 3 people that built the game, and now we have 5 on the core team.
Nice.
So we globally launched this game when did we launch it? In March. And then you're right, Merge Kingdoms came out. And I think that's the other thing too. Globally launching for smaller companies, it's just an extended soft launch at this point. We are still really in soft launch.
Yeah, of course.
There's no cap to, there's no saturation whatsoever. When Merge Kingdoms came out, we were like, oh, this is it. This is our game. And it had this big spike, but the long-term retention was not good. And then we saw this Pictowords, and it was just like slowly and steadily. We weren't paying much attention to it. And it surpassed it a month and a half later. And we could just see the really excellent long-term retention. And we started pouring more money into it, getting the UA process going, and seeing these really great paybacks. And it's just like, okay, this is what we have to focus on. So it's been that transition of seeing that really slow and steady growth. And it is such a relief. People always talk about long-term retention. That's the truth. It works. It works. It's like you can plug it into a model. Obviously, everybody wants it. That's what we're all trying to make. And then you get a game where it's like 3%, 2% day 30. It's like, well, okay, yeah, I want better day 30 retention. That's not my goal to build that. But the game has to show it. So this is a game.
What are we talking about in Pictowords? Give me day 30 number. Give me a good.
So it depends which cohort and all that stuff.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Sort of like 100%.
Give me the juice box number.
I think Juicebox was like 8%.
Yeah.
Day 30, which is okay.
It's good.
So yeah, it is good. Sometimes I look at those numbers, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
We were close. So it's like 15 to 18% day 30.
Oof. That's a sweet one. And this is like soft launch numbers. Like there's plenty. And in terms of Funcraft, like how many games do you have in works at the same time, and what does the central team look like? Because the way I understand it, like you have several teams, and then you have a central one. It's like marketing,
right. Yeah, exactly. So we're transitioning right now where previously we set ourselves up to make lots of titles and make all these bets and see what's working. Now we're in a transition of, okay, now we need to focus and really staff these teams, particularly on Pictowords, to support it and give it the support that it needs. So one of the things that we've done in our approach that's been pretty interesting, and I'm sure you're gonna, we'll see what you think. But we've partnered with outside developers, and we found it's been a lengthy process to find them, to select them, and then to work with them. And then we find these great teams and give them a design spec. We work on the game, and they help get the game to launch. Mm-hmm. They hand it over to us, and then we plug in a lot of our shared services that power the back end and the live ops of the game. And that's really a point to just allowing us to go faster and to see what works. And then once the game works, then it's a process where, okay, let's take on more and more of that title.
Interesting. So you do the design, you give a third party the execution, basically just do the code and add some art on it. Then you put it into soft launch. apply your marketing expertise on it. And if it flies, it flies. If it doesn't, well, none of us even touch the code.
Yes, and in spirit, that's how it's supposed to work. Obviously, when the rubber meets the road, it can be a little bit more complicated than that. But exactly.
How do you so does the CTO, like you have a CTO, of course, and or a technical lead or so forth? Does the
Jason, our co-founder,
make sure that the code base is it's not spaghetti,
that it's quality, that it works totally,
nice. That's really cool. So
we're in a place right now where we have this Pictowords game, and we're excited about it. We think there's more opportunities to build similar games on that. I don't want to call it a platform, but it's a platform.
It's a platform.
It's a platform.
It's a classic platform play.
It's a classic platform play. So we found this really great team that we've partnered with, and they're doing excellent work on it. And we just want to build tighter relationships and more long-term work with these companies, and give them more access and let them dive into the example craft code base and do more of those integrations so that it becomes a deeper partnership.
Then you started with your first game that way, or is this something that you just recently started doing?
Yeah, so the first few games were proofs of concept of, and obviously we wanted them to succeed, but proofs of concept of building the shared services, all of the events, all of the social, and just getting the game out the door. It's actually, and hyper casual companies know this, but being able to have the processes to launch many apps, that requires a little work as well. So putting all of that in place. We did partner with one studio to make this great looking tri-peak solitaire game. And one of the things that we found with that, where we've had to adjust our approach and model it a little bit, is when you're going into and that's a red ocean, you need to be grinding that game and have give it the full attention that it needs. So we found that its core metrics weren't good enough, and we pulled the plug on that as well. It's like, this could be a business, we could make it a business, but it's going to require so much to get there. We think there's more opportunity elsewhere. We have some really great IP there.
And so what's the story behind Funcraft? Like, there's two founders. You guys, did you work together at EA or just?
Not at EA. We worked together. We met in 2009 at Zynga. And then we started Juicebox together and did that. And then over our years, post Juicebox, we licked our wounds for a little bit, and then periodically
for a while. Juicebox was quite the ride.
Yeah.
Your partner went to Zynga and you went to EA, right?
Right, exactly.
Oh my God. And then that 3 years in like a corporation after a startup must be a fucking like a shock.
It was. Yeah, it really was. I was walking the halls. People would introduce themselves and tell me about their job and the people they oversaw. And I was like, are you messing with me? Is this we need that many people? This is a meeting? We're having a meeting about this?
Yeah.
But we would reach out to each other every once in a while and be like, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not ready yet. Or vice versa. And then it's like, okay, now we need an idea. What's the idea? We can't just do this. So we have to come up with an idea. And we go back in.
Launch fast, get to the market, everything that you haven't done at EA and Zynga.
Right.
So you're basically like 180.
That was one VC's reaction who said no. He was like, I worry that you're just doing things to react to EA.
Yes.
And I don't think that
you should have just called 180 games.
Yeah.
It's like, what? 180 to what?
1080 snowboarding. Yeah. Exactly.
So, and like a fun fact, it was a GDC. So we hung out at GDC and we went running. We went running on Land's End. Beautiful run. I hate running, but somehow at all the events, or every time I meet you or Antti, it's always running. I never run outside those. And Timur is the third one. Like, I never run. And then you guys take me on like a 10K or a 15K. So we went running, and I remember we were talking about this. You're like, I'm ready. I'm going. I'm like, what are you talking about, Michael?
Right.
Stop. So you have
Totally.
juicy position at EA.
Right.
Your bosses love you.
Yeah.
I visited you at Redwood. Like, people loved you. Like, Michael was the guy. You're making
thank you.
Command and Conquer.
Right.
You're getting paid.
Right.
And you live in San Francisco by the ocean. Why would you like to destroy your life?
I remember you
like,
said,
I think he's going to do it.
you were like, dude, don't do it.
Don't do it.
You made it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah. You've gone through the battle, and now you're in the retirement home of the Warriors.
and yet here we are. And you are on the other side doing the same thing.
I hate you guys. You made me do this. You told me this start thing is like a good thing. You should do it. So much fun. You get to ship.
Give it a go. Actually,
anybody who's listening, if you're thinking about startups, don't do it. Just don't do it. Like, trust me, do not do it.
No, opposite. Always jump in. Always jump in.
But if you really want to do it, DM me. I know exactly. So. Anyways, so that's an interesting thing. And okay, so everything is differently than before. Why word games? You did RPGs, you did RTS. Right. I'd say that you were working on casino, right?
Yeah, started out at Zynga Poker, and then worked on Farmville and launched Farmville 2.
Exactly. And now, and then you went to RPGs, and then you went to RTS.
Yep.
What's going on?
Yeah. Well, I think all of these are, they're all games. First of all, let's start there.
Okay, we found something that we agree on. Though I do have to say, word games may be the most category that I've ever played.
The most what?
The what?
What adjective?
Well, I don't know.
Say it again.
I generally hate word games because they make me feel dumb because they're all like very, I'm not native in English, and nobody who's not native in English plays these games, right?
Right.
It's 95% English-speaking countries, correct?
Well, our game is in English, so yes.
And then audience is 90% female?
Not 90%. Ours is 70 to 75%.
That's a highly inclusive word game.
Yeah. So I think, all of these, the knowledge and the experience that we have with RPG games, with the games that we worked on in the past, are super informative because it allows us to layer all of that good stuff on top of it. So when we started Funcraft, really the idea, we were inspired by Toon Blast in particular, Wordscapes as well, but it's just like taking these, and hyper casual too, taking these really wonderful core mechanics and then layering on top of them a fairly basic event system and social. And if you have that magical core, you can really build wonderful daily rituals for our players. So the word game is one, the word genre, is a game that, or a genre that you can get into relatively lightweight, but there's a lot of nuance there. And I think I lost my train of thought. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, we were just talking about the word games and why word games, and essentially you're saying that you've learned a lot of things from mid-core that are not utilized in the word category because word games, quite honestly, haven't even grown on par with the market. The growth rate on 2020, looking at Deconstructor of Fun, beautiful charts that show all these genres, shows about 27% growth in in-app purchase year over year, but the ad monetization must be pretty sweet, and there's plenty of word games that have great ad monetization because the audience fits perfectly with the puzzle genre where you guys sell a lot of games. So talk a little bit about that.
Totally. Thank you. So the ad monetization is wonderful. We are at about 90% ad monetization right now. We've grown IAPs a little bit, but we found that our players are they really play this game so much. 15% of our DAU play 7 days a week. 50% of our players make over 20 moves a day. So this is just something where they're like, our players are in it. Yeah. And it's, pretty straightforward to provide an ad experience for players that fits into the gameplay. It's always a nuance and a balance to try and get that experience right. I think with this great long-term retention, we want to make sure that we aren't scaring our players away by any stretch of the imagination. So we want to do things, make sure that we're experimenting, but there's no need to be overly aggressive with our players. It's like we see this payback every 15 days. ROAS increases another 5%, and that just keeps going. Day 45 to 60, 90 to 105. It's just like 5%, 5%, 5%, and that's there's tons of room for us to grow that even more. So
90% comes from ad revenue.
Yeah.
That's an important thing, because everybody who's listening to this, they will go to Sensor Tower, App Annie, they look at your numbers, they're like, saying shit.
Yeah, what is this?
What are they? Right. Why are they talking about it? Guys,
yep.
90% coming in from ad monetization. Think about it.
Yep.
90%.
Right.
And there's no Apple or Google taking no cuts. Like, this is straight up, Iron Source might take a little heap out of that.
Yep.
but they do give good jobs.
I think too, what you were talking about in terms of audience overlap, companies are like, there's some really great opportunities here. So there's great overlap with puzzle. There's great overlap with casino as well. Play Simple, the Indian company, was acquired with the earnout over $500 million.
Still fun, right? Or no, MTG.
MTG. Yep. And that was based on daily themed crosswords. And then you see New York Times, I think, is going to turn into a games company. They're advertising their games business everywhere. They just brought on
JK.
Well, not only that, they had an old PM that I worked with at Zynga, Manuel Bronstein. He just joined their board of directors. He's the chief product officer at Roblox. So I think it's something they see how powerful games are.
He was on Farmville 3, right?
Farmville 2.
Did you go to YouTube? Is that the same?
Then he went to YouTube.
That's exactly. The same guy. That's the same guy. Yeah. I remember. He left just a little after I joined. I was like, And then I remembered this guy. Okay, so he's now at New York Times.
Just joined as the board. Well, he's on the board at New York Times.
Got it.
And his main job is chief product officer at Roblox.
That's a good board seat. Good main job. I think it makes sense, and they're gonna probably show them like Words with Friends type of numbers. They're like, guys, these games make bank.
Here we go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, stop hating on Joe Rogan. Let's do this. This is where the real money is.
Right. I just saw. I get the paper now, and there's the front page of the main section. The whole back page is advertising Spelling Bee. It's just like they're pushing it so hard. JK did join. I don't know, probably over a year ago. But they're bringing in some really excellent game folks. And it's based on word games. So they have obviously the crossword puzzle and then Spelling Bee as well. Just like it's bringing in subscribers. It's incredibly powerful.
Should they acquire Funcraft?
Yeah, not yet. We'll become a news company.
They come into your stumping ground. You're gonna go there,
right? They want to play. Two can do that game.
We're gonna go even more left.
We're gonna set up a stringer service. Yeah. So we need someone in Lapland.
Funcraft news.
Right.
We craft news.
we make the news. Right.
We make news. That's a good idea. I like that. You might need to raise a little bit more money, but overall a good idea, a good brand.
Right. Overall, right. Backup plan.
So when you started Funcraft, did you spend time on things like mission or values, or were you just so in line with your co-founder that you didn't need it because you were just texting in the evenings and like, God, we need to do something?
Yeah.
I see my life slipping away. I'm getting too many great benefits and work on these IPs and sit on these meetings where I don't have to do anything.
Right.
That I need to grind. I need to lower my salary to I'm 8.
Right. I need to learn about that. We really do see eye to eye, and we've known each other for so long that we didn't have to spend too much time on it. And I think it's something we certainly think about when is the appropriate time. But I think it's still, we're at that lucky and small size where, and the really fun size where every person we bring on is so much more important. So trying to, and going through the review process and the interview process to make sure that we're bringing on aligned people and just establishing that in how we work day to day, week to week. Like that's what's most important and will define us. But that is something that I know as we continue to scale, we're going to have to go through that exercise more fully.
Not go through that, just have fun with it. Like it's,
yeah, I know it's always the back and forth. It's right. I think it does matter. It obviously matters, and making sure that we're all aligned, that we're going in the right direction. Like communicate. I mean, I think that is one of the things that I learned about electronic arts is importance of extra communication.
over communication.
But I really do I mean, this is where Jason and I are so aligned is we like to do, and we think whether it's product, we want to ship games, we want to ship features, we want to find out. And we define ourselves by our results and what we're working on.
Well, listen, Michael, you just described values and mission. Like honestly, like this is really people think it's like a workshop of writing a fucking novel. Like, no, you're describing what you do, what you find really important. Like, it would be horrible if you go to this workshop and then this thinking like, hey, let's come up with shit that we don't do. That sounds really cool.
Right.
And just write it down as rules. That would be or virtues.
Yep. Yeah. Fair point. Yeah. So I'll play that back. I'll see what we end up with.
Exactly. Just describe what you do right now and be like, I think this is us. Like, I think we just describe what we do. And that way it's just verbalized for people, because you guys work remotely, right?
We do. Yes.
Oh my God. When are you going to get back? Are you going to get back together, and are you going to be based out of East Coast, West Coast, or are you going to be based out of, America?
Yeah, so we're based out of America. We do. So we now have we have someone joining us in a couple weeks. So that will bring 3 into the Bay Area. I mean, offices there are still not in, so it doesn't quite make sense yet. But I think we will open up an office there again. I mean, I think this remote working it's been working for sure for us. Obviously there are challenges to it. So I think we'll want an office in San Francisco. And we'll see if we get more in another place, whether we'll set that up. But I think what's so great about remote work is really how it opens you up to talent, and the number of people that we've been interacting with and working with, whether they're in Poland, Netherlands, Spain, Philippines, Colombia. It's just like there's so much talent out there that we want to have keep access to that. I think game making has really changed so much from 2009, where back then you had to define and figure out, okay, what does a daily bonus look like? What does a level up system look like? And now it's just like there's a language that exists for all of these systems. So when you are making a game or adding features to a game, it's like, okay, let's take this from that and this from let's put these components together in a new way, and that's the game. And I really can't believe how talented people are. It's a joy to work with people all over the world. It's awesome.
No,
and they're hungry. That's what's the best part about it. It's like, that's what you need. I think that's the most exciting thing about a startup or any company really, is making sure you have that attitude where people where they feel invested, they feel ownership, they have that attention to detail. That's where the magic happens.
What about what? Okay, here's what I wanted to ask: why San Francisco? I mean, I know that it's such a great location for young and
Yeah.
hungry talent, very cost efficient, very safe.
Well, that's where our people are right now. So
Yeah,
we have three there, and that makes the most sense to bucket
got it.
to put together an office for them. I mean, we're not going
Yeah,
to have an office where we don't have people in
that is a
Idaho.
very very logical thinking. I
Another,
really like that. I really like
I don't live in Berlin or Helsinki, so we won't
that.
have offices there. But maybe I'll set one up.
No. It's how big is
More
the company
trips.
right now?
So we are there's six of us on the team. Two are joining, and then with our outsourcers and dev partners, it's another. That's another 12.
Okay, well. That's why the communication is so simple because when you're
Exactly.
talking
Yeah.
about dev, when you talk about any outsourcers, they are there to jump when you say jump. I mean, that's you don't have to explain to them. You don't have to have lengthy conversations. They're there for execution. It's when your internal team grows significantly, like they don't jump like that. They're like, why? Why are we jumping?
Right.
Can you give me
Yeah.
context?
Yeah. And then the challenge on that other side is on the ownership piece that
Mhm.
you don't get that same sense of ownership from dev partners sometimes where
Yeah, of course.
you need them to feel like it's theirs. So that's certainly the challenge. But I think that the execution focused is what we like that.
Yeah, no. It makes more sense. I was just trying to understand a little bit better, but I totally understand that when your own internal team is so small that you can almost do one-on-ones with everybody every week, meaning like you have 5 reports.
Right.
That's then it makes sense. But as it grows, then you need to communicate. That's when a physical office makes a lot of sense because you're going to go have lunch with people. They're gonna see Michael in real world. You're really pretty,
Yeah.
even
Oh wow.
through the camera.
Wow, thank you.
Well, everybody knows the most handsome guy in EA. Like
Oh
like
wow.
if somebody was looking at
There's
Michael, they're like, "Hey, where's Michael?" He'd be like, "Look for the most handsome guy in EA."
stop it. Some heavy competition there with the EA uniforms.
It has been increasing, or the competition on the.
It's a well dressed executive company. It's
But
pretty pro.
you have a smart casual approach to it.
Smart. Yeah, I didn't do the Euro style as much as
Skinny jeans and all that.
right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
now I need to put this on YouTube because we talk about your look. So all right,
Right.
I'll do that.
There
Fine.
it goes. Yep.
Fine. I'm just jealous. That's really it.
I know I'm certainly not as strong as you.
Yeah,
I need to get there.
that only attracts same sex. Anyways, so let's focus. Let's bring this baby home because we're really steering away from the most important.
Right.
So next steps for your company and pick the words. What's going to happen?
Yeah. So I know it's annoying, but we really do think that we're in early days of what's going on with this game. We think that this game can be like a Words with Friends type of long lasting game. So we're building all of the pieces that make that happen. We have so much to improve. We have a great roadmap. We need help building it. So we're looking for amazing people who are excited about this space, who want to have a lot of ownership, work quickly, product managers, UI, UX designers, engineers, analysts, market, like really all the pieces. It's time to light a fire under this. As I said, it's a platform. So we have more Pick to Words products that are in the works. So there's an opportunity to work on those as well. We are building it in a way so that we can have outsized impact and build things once that we'll be able to reuse across our games. So
Michael, let me sell this for you. So you want to join Funcraft because you would you'd really feel bad of not joining now, because the numbers, it's all about the numbers. The numbers
It's all about the numbers.
very,
Agreed.
very solid. And this baby is going to grow big. And later on, when you consider like, well, I don't want to join this because it's a startup. It's only 6 people. They work without workers, this and that. It's like, no, you're going to regret this, because that's what the people said when Original Farmville came in, when Zynga Poker came in, when Clash of Clans launched, like, oh, it's just a small company that doesn't have really that much success. Yes, there's maybe a small traction, but I want to work at a big company. It's like, no, this is it. You get a lot of ownership. You get to ship game. You get to grow game. You get to learn on so many different steps. And guess what? You don't have to be sitting in meetings explaining what you want to do next. You're going to do things, and they're going to review how you did those things. And then you're going to learn, and you're going to grow, and this company is going to be highly successful, and you're going to get a share of that pie of the success, and you're going to be really happy with your decision. So that's why you want to join Funcraft.
Thank you.
And plus, Michael is great. I've known him for years. I can attest that he is a fantastic CEO.
Good people. Thank you. Yeah, it's like have fun while we're doing it. That's the whole point.
Exactly. In the description of this podcast below, you'll find a link to Funcraft. You'll find a link to Michael's LinkedIn page. Ping him.
Yes.
Tell him you want to grow Funcraft to rival New York Times.
Let's do it. We're going to take down New York Times, the game company. Michael at funcraft.com. Yeah.
On that note, everybody, have a great day, great evening, whatever you're doing. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Michael, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.